you know, this is a dream. This is something I wrote down on a piece of paper when I was in like 2nd grade, like get a basketball scholarship, play in the WNBA. Like this is always something I wanted to do.
The WNBA has long been a hotbed of competitive energy, including some of the world's most gifted athletes, some like Caitlin Clark, whose rapid ascent has created an undertone of dissatisfaction. Also, Teresa Weatherspoon, the Chicago Sky's head coach.
You have to ask yourself that every single day that you live this life. Are you impacting the lives of other people? So I'm praying that the position that I hold tells people.
Recently made headlines at a news conference for what many are calling an unusual outburst, as well as her team's performance. The seasoned coach, renowned for her calm demeanor and great knowledge, surprised everyone when she refused to address questions regarding Clark and the Indiana Fever.
Keep moving! Keep moving! There we go!
How have you liked your attack on the offensive end, Spoon?
This event has caused significant conjecture and debate in the basketball world, prompting many to wonder, what is it about Caitlin Clark that is shaking up the WNBA so dramatically? In this video, we'll examine the controversy surrounding Teresa Weatherspoon's response and how Clark's presence in the league has changed the dynamics on the court, while also ruffling the feathers of established players and coaches.
Honestly, I think setting my teammates up, I think that just like provides so much more energy to the team. It gets everybody going, and when everybody can like touch the ball and, you know, get going in that way, I think it just, you know, everybody just flows a little bit better. The offense flows a little bit better. But that's something I take a lot of pride in. At times I think I can try to like overpass and probably could be a little more aggressive to the basket, but yeah, I think with the weapons that we have on our team.
We'll also investigate why Clark's influence on the WNBA is becoming a double-edged sword, bringing both unprecedented attention and great pressure on the league.
Yeah, I think we responded well after we had to use that timeout early in the third.
To comprehend the full scope of the present conflict, you must first understand why Caitlin Clark is generating such a stir in the WNBA.
I think turnovers are costing us a little bit. If we can take care of the ball a little bit better, we'll be in a better position, but I thought we did better on the O boards.
Clark's performance on the professional stage has been nothing short of remarkable. She is not just playing the game, she is rewriting the rules and establishing new standards.
But they go in. Not only do they go in consistently. And the way she plays the game, she's the true definition of a great player.
Clark made it evident right away that she wasn't your typical rookie. Her performances have repeatedly been jaw-dropping, and her statistics prove it. Clark, who averages 22.6 points.
I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds, the curtains were down a lot of the games, and now
7.8 assists and 5.4 rebounds per game, and has a 34.6% three-point shooting percentage, is not only making an impact,
slowly developing and getting better and better. And yeah, I think we're just, you know, learning as time goes and each game goes, like we're just getting better and better.
You've had an absolutely whirlwind first half of your rookie campaign. I want to ask you how much you're looking forward to this break, right, coming up.
But also creating history. These statistics are astonishing for any athlete, much alone a rookie. It's a little surprising that she's immediately been the focus of talks about the WNBA's future.
Well, she's definitely taken that golden advice, recently being the first WNBA player that has recorded consecutive 20-plus point rebound games.
However, Clark's effect extends beyond her statistics. Her impact on the Indiana Fever has been nothing short of transformational. Last season, the Fever finished with a 13-27 record, making them one of the league's worst teams.
This is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it, you're helping us change it, so seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much.
However, with Clark at the helm, the Fever have made a stunning turnaround. They're no longer the league's punching bag.
I think it's easy, like these people are my best friends, and like that's not for show. Like I seriously know, like I'm not me without all of them, and they've had my back. And
instead, they're vying for a postseason place after already exceeding last year's victory total. Clark seemed to have revitalized the whole squad, transforming them into a formidable force.
Yeah, they've both been tremendous. I thought they played great defense. They've made great decisions out of the pick and roll or pick and pop. We got to keep going to them.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
The Fever's comeback hasn't gone unnoticed. They're playing entertaining, competitive basketball, and fans are paying attention. Clark's arrival has revitalized the squad.
More than anything, I know these girls are going to be my best friends for the rest of my life, and really that's all that matters to me. I don't really care if we win another game. It's just having these people in my life for forever.
resulting in an inevitable increase in expectations. However, although the Fever's success story is one of the most thrilling events in recent WNBA history,
Yeah, that's just not a basketball play, but got to play through it. That's what basketball's about at this level. So I thought we've been really physical. We've missed some bunnies around the rim, and so hopefully those fall in the fourth. But really proud of our team.
it has also resulted in a slew of unexpected repercussions. With tremendous success comes considerable attention, not all of which is beneficial.
Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
As Clark's fame continues to grow, so does the hostility she seems to be instilling in her opponents.
Stephen A., I'm talking to you, Stephen A., if you had promoted the WNBA more, if you had talked about it more, they would have played more games. Like I had the power to go up to ESPN and say, directors and producers and cameramen and everybody else flock to the WNBA. At the time,
the WNBA has always had its fair share of rivalries and competitive edge, but what we're seeing now with Clark and the Indiana Fever is something new, more fierce.
People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, just because of one single game. And just looking at that,
one of the most striking evidence of this growing hatred came in a recent game versus the Connecticut Sun. During the match, Alyssa Thomas committed a hard foul on Clark, which many fans and experts deemed unwarranted and unnecessarily violent. The foul was largely viewed as a direct message: welcome to the WNBA, rookie. It was a sharp reminder that despite her outstanding accomplishments, Clark is still seen as an outsider by some of the league's veterans. However, the situation with Thomas is not uncommon. In many games, Clark has faced more physical and aggressive defense.
Give it up for these women, these incredible seniors, and thank you for all that
you've done. Opposing teams seem eager to go to any length to control her, even crossing the line into unsportsmanlike behavior. This kind of approach demonstrates Clark's impact. Teams are starting to regard her as more than simply a brilliant player, but also a real danger to their success.
honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball.
Clark's resilience, however, is her most outstanding quality. Despite the increasing aggressiveness and efforts to knock her off her game, she stays undeterred. She continues to play her signature style of basketball, making impossible passes, scoring long-range shots, and leading her team with grace and confidence. Clark isn't simply surviving the hardships she faces, she's flourishing in them. Given the background of escalating tensions, it's no wonder that emotions are high around the league. However, Teresa Weatherspoon's reply at a recent news appearance surprised many. Weatherspoon, a renowned figure in women's basketball, is noted for her wide knowledge and level-headed approach to the game.
I'm pretty sure I'll be in a three-point competition for everybody to watch at some point. Not everybody needs to freak out. So, but also like, the roster that we have in the three-point competition is incredible. You look at their percentages, they're all 40% three-point shooters. Like, they're shooting better percentage-wise than I am, so they all deserve it. I'll be there supporting, watching them. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just like take some rest and make a decision for myself, which is at times can be hard to do. And
that's why her hasty exit from a news appearance, refusing to answer questions regarding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, has perplexed many. In all of my years covering basketball, I've never seen anything like that. Coaches are often required to exhibit a sense of calm and professionalism, particularly in front of the media. However, Weatherspoon's reply was anything but calm.
I'm honestly proud of myself for doing that.
I so appreciate your honesty there. And I was talking to Diana Taurasi earlier today.
Her abrupt departure generated more questions than it answered, leading everyone to speculate on what might have provoked such a strong reaction. To comprehend the importance of this occasion, we must first analyze Teresa Weatherspoon.
Yeah, obviously nothing's official, and for this league, like to me, it's like sky's the limit. You're seeing how incredible it can be. You can see how hard it is to get a ticket to get into the doors, how many people want to turn it on their television, how people are traveling miles and miles to come and watch and have an opportunity to interact with the players or just watch the players play basketball live in person. So, you know, obviously expansion is going to really help. The new media deal is going to help.
She is not just any coach, she is a Hall of Famer, a two-time WNBA champion, and a veteran of the women's basketball world. For someone of her standing to respond in this manner implies that something else is going on. One idea suggests that Weatherspoon's behavior stems from dissatisfaction. The Chicago sky, on which she has poured her heart and her, is faltering this season, but Clark's Indiana fever is on the rise.
And I think you're just going to continue to see it grow. This is really only the beginning in my eyes. It's the hardest league in all of sports with only, less than 144 spots. Obviously that's expanding, but I'm excited. The people that have been in this league deserve it, and then obviously the people that are going to continue to come into this league are.
It's conceivable that witnessing her team struggle while a rookie like Clark dominates the league is hard for her to accept. After all, Weatherspoon has spent years establishing her image and team, and suddenly a 22-year-old is stealing the show. This might be a difficult pill to take for someone who has devoted their life to the sport.
90 seconds left to play here in the first quarter. Looking for Reese. Magdalene tips it away and off and running. Caitlin Clark.
The Caitlin Clark effect refers not just to her on-court performance, but also to how she is transforming the whole WNBA. Her success has brought the league unparalleled exposure, recruiting new fans, and creating media coverage that women's basketball has seldom experienced before. This increased prominence is definitely beneficial to the sport as a whole, but it is also causing a ripple effect that puts pressure on everyone involved.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. It's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director or whomever's over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
Are you looking forward to a break? From Olympic action and basketball in general, I guess?
For years, the WNBA has struggled to establish its position in the cluttered sports scene, sometimes failing to attract the same degree of attention as men's leagues.
Caitlin Clark, the exceptional Iowa Hawkeyes basketball player, has shown to be a formidable opponent on the floor. Her incredible performances have captivated viewers, making her one of the most talked about players in college basketball today. Clark's extraordinary scoring ability, leadership, and unmistakable brilliance have captivated both sports fans and pundits. However, she recently became the focus of a different type of attention, not because of her on-court exploits, but because of comments made about her by ESPN's Molly Curran.
Clark over Horston, hits a three!
In a world where athletes are constantly scrutinized, Caitlin Clark's name came up in a heated debate that eventually led to ESPN's decision to terminate Molly Curran. The episode has aroused significant controversy, with sports fans, commentators, and critics commenting on both Curran's statements and Clark's meteoric ascent to fame. As we investigate this surprising turn of events, it is critical to consider Caitlin Clark's effect on women's basketball, the context of the statements that led to Curran's firing, and the broader ramifications for sports journalism today.
I could actually argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving.
So go ahead and argue it.
That's exactly.
Before delving into the topic, it's important to understand who Caitlin Clark is and why she's become such an influential person in women's sports. Caitlin Clark's collegiate basketball career has been nothing short of spectacular. As a prominent Iowa Hawkeyes player, she has constantly provided awe-inspiring performances, often carrying her team on her back with amazing scoring ability, vision, and a dogged will to win.
But Cowan, who couldn't finish, behind the back again for Clark, give her another assist.
Clark, from Des Moines, Iowa, was already a household name in high school basketball, where she broke records and garnered national recognition. Her choice to remain home and play for Iowa signaled the start of a new era in women's collegiate basketball. Clark made it evident from the time she walked on the floor as a freshman that she was unique. Her ability to sink deep three-pointers, throw out precise assists, and lead her squad with toughness gained her respect around the league.
The turnover ratio in her career last season. Clark gets away with a little push, fall away, buries it. And a little reaction.
In only a few seasons, Clark went from a prospective recruit to a popular name, garnering comparisons to some of basketball's best players. She's been dubbed a once-in-a-generation talent, capable of transforming the game's landscape and propelling the popularity of women's sports to new heights. Fans have praised her court vision, flair for the theatrical, and ability to take over games, often in the clutch.
Clark working on Van Loo. Oh, Clark, pretty step back, hits a three. Got a little sip.
Her awards have continued to pile up, including All-American honors, scoring crowns, and national notoriety. Clark has been associated with success in women's college basketball, and her efforts have propelled Iowa far into tournaments, where she has frequently single-handedly led her team to victory. As Clark's popularity rose, so did the prominence of women's basketball, resulting in more media coverage and a larger fan base.
And now Clark comes up with a steal. Clark thought about pulling up from three, will dip inside and lay it in.
Caitlin Clark's notoriety in the sports world is no surprise, since she has been a regular subject of discussion on sports broadcasts such as ESPN's First Take. However, things took a dramatic turn when Molly Qerim, one of the show's co-hosts, made remarks that sparked a firestorm of outrage. During a section analyzing Clark's most recent performance, Qerim allegedly made statements that many saw as disparaging and contemptuous of Clark's achievements. While the statements seem innocuous on the surface, the manner in which they were delivered sparked outrage among fans and critics alike. Qerim reportedly said that Clark's style of play was showy, but lacked the substance required to excel at the top level of competition.
I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their attention, and they're not as talented.
The crowd did not favorably receive the statements. Fans of Caitlin Clark turned to social media to vent their anger, accusing Qerim of disparaging Clark's accomplishments and downplaying her importance in the sport. What made the matter even more contentious was the timing. Clark had just given another outstanding performance, guiding her side to a huge win. Qerim's words in the aftermath further added to the fury. In today's hyper-connected world, when news and views move at breakneck speed, Qerim's remarks became viral. Social media sites such as Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok were inundated with comments condemning Qerim for what many saw as an unjustified and foolish assault on Clark. Hashtags like Shocker Support Caitlin Clark and Fire Molly Qerim started trending, with fans urging ESPN to take action.
It wasn't that anybody didn't think he was going to be successful or not play. It was just that we felt that other players in the W deserve shine as well.
Prominent people in sports, including players, pundits, and analysts, have spoken out on the issue. Many people jumped to Caitlin Clark's defense, praising her remarkable accomplishments and the wonderful influence she has made on women's basketball. Others questioned the larger implications of Qerim's words, claiming that female athletes are often held to higher standards and get more criticism than their male colleagues. The anger was not restricted to basketball enthusiasts. Advocates for women's sports and gender equality interpreted Qerim's remarks as symptomatic of a broader problem, the systematic undervaluation of women's athletic achievements. They said that statements like Qerim's foster the perception that women's sports are somehow inferior to men's despite athletes like Caitlin Clark competing at unprecedented levels.
Molly, I said...
Really, Molly? Wow.
They jumped on us. They jumped on us, Molly. They jumped on us as a show.
As the outcry grew, it became evident that this wasn't merely a slip of judgment. Qerim's remarks touched a deeper chord, addressing problems of gender, media portrayal, and the continuous struggle for recognition in women's sports. ESPN is no stranger to controversy, and the network has had its fair share of public relations issues over the years. However, the backlash over Qerim's remarks regarding Caitlin Clark created a particularly difficult scenario for the sports media behemoth.
Team and spending time on the bench, what is the conversation going to be about the entire...
Initially, ESPN kept mute on the matter, maybe anticipating that the reaction would subside on its own. However, when the scandal escalated, the network was obliged to confront it publicly. In a short statement, ESPN recognized that the statements made on First Take had offended viewers and promised them that the problem was being taken seriously. Behind the scenes, it was evident that ESPN was facing a tough choice. On the one hand, Qerim was a well-known character on the network, having co-hosted the show First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. Firing a prominent figure like Qerim would not be handled lightly. On the other side, the network came under increasing pressure from fans and supporters of women's sports to hold Qerim responsible for her comments.
eyeballs, the interest, the sizzle, the headlines were not there. No one cared. The public didn't.
Finally, ESPN chose to cut ways with Molly Qerim. In a subsequent statement, the network reaffirmed its commitment to creating an open and respectful workplace for all athletes, including women. While the decision to terminate Qerim elicited varied responses, it highlighted the rising significance of responsibility in sports media, especially with the treatment of female athletes. The aftermath of Molly Qerim's termination has sparked a broader debate about media responsibility and the treatment of female athletes in the sports world. The episode demonstrates the power dynamics at work in sports media and raises serious concerns about how athletes, especially women, are depicted and discussed.
Excuse me?
You deserved it all.
Molly, can I speak to Andre?
Yeah.
Can I speak to Andre right now? Don't interrupt the flow.
One of the most obvious concerns that this scandal has highlighted is the discrepancy in how male and female the media regard athletes. While male athletes are often complimented for their confidence, swagger, and aggressiveness on the court, female competitors, such as Caitlin Clark, are sometimes chastised for exhibiting similar characteristics. This double standard reflects strongly held social ideas regarding gender and competitiveness, and it continues to influence how women in sports are regarded and assessed.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Following Qerim's dismissal, many have called for a review of how media outlets cover women's sports. While female athletes have made considerable progress in terms of exposure and acknowledgement, situations like these serve as a reminder that more work is still to be done. The media has a significant influence on public views of athletes, and that power comes with the duty to deliver fair and courteous coverage. For Caitlin Clark, the event has further cemented her place as a pioneer in women's basketball. Despite the criticism, she has stayed focused on her game, consistently delivering outstanding results and inspiring the next generation of athletes. Her tenacity in the face of media criticism is a great example for young athletes worldwide, demonstrating that on the court, achievement speaks louder than words.
They're already at 10. Look at the tie last year's winning record.
Clark from way downtown and knocks it down.
The dispute involving Molly Qerim and Caitlin Clark is part of a larger discussion regarding the future of women's sports coverage. Women's sports are becoming more popular, and media sources must adjust to give more balanced coverage. This includes not just improving female athletes' exposure, but also ensuring that discussion and analysis of their performances are fair, impartial, and devoid of damaging preconceptions. The termination of Molly Qerim sends a strong message that rude or disparaging statements regarding female athletes will not be allowed. However, the problem going ahead is establishing a media climate in which female athletes are rewarded for their achievements without resorting to such extreme measures. In the middle of this media storm, Caitlin Clark has continued to do what she does best: play top basketball. Her rise from high school wonder to college superstar has been nothing short of incredible, and she shows no signs of slowing down. The Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, has produced a slew of outstanding players throughout the years, but two stand out in recent memory: Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. Their paths, although different, have often crossed, with each making substantial contributions to women's basketball and the sport's general development. Clark and Mitchell have captivated fans with their on-court talent, and the history they have created together represents the WNBA's developing environment.
Wins all of last season. They're already at 10. Look at the tie last year's winning record.
Clark from way downtown.
Caitlin Clark, a brilliant college basketball player, was making headlines even before she joined the WNBA. Her remarkable ascent has catapulted her into talks with the game's luminaries. Kelsey Mitchell, on the other side, has quickly established herself as one of the WNBA's top scorers after being drafted in 2018. These two players symbolize the league's present and future, and their journeys tell a unique story of grit, ability, and dedication.
Listen, I believed in her from day one. You knew that she would only get better and better. She's averaging 17.8 points this season, 41%.
In this video, we will examine the connected histories of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, including their upbringing, early careers, and how they influenced and continue to develop the WNBA. We will also examine their playing styles, achievements, and impact both on and off the court.
Clark off the switch, found Smith, who laid it.
Caitlin Clark, born in West Des Moines, Iowa, has swiftly established herself as one of the country's most promising basketball players. Clark has had an unusual ability to score from wherever on the floor since he was little. Her high school career was nothing short of remarkable, as she established multiple records and received numerous awards. She was a high school All-American, and her choice to join the University of Iowa benefited both her and the program. During her college career, Clark's name became associated with explosive playmaking, long-range shooting, and a ferocious competitive spirit. Her ability to command the floor and push her team to success was shown when she led the Iowa Hawkeyes to new heights in the NCAA tournament. Clark's unwavering pursuit of perfection, along with her basketball IQ, elevated her to the ranks of women's collegiate basketball's most prominent players.
As Bonner can't hit, Fagbenle the rebound. Here comes Clark, bouncing to Fagbenle, who lays it in!
Clark was already being compared to some of the finest players in the WNBA before going pro, and her ability to have a huge effect on the league was obvious. She was seen not just as a potential WNBA player, but also as someone whose unique skill set may transform the game. Kelsey Mitchell, born in Cincinnati, Ohio, had a somewhat different road to basketball greatness. Mitchell's basketball career started in high school, where she polished her abilities before attending Ohio State University. Mitchell became one of the most prolific scorers in NCAA history while at Ohio State, establishing records for both her shooting ability and on-court leadership. Her accomplishments earned her a berth in the 2018 WNBA draft, when she was taken second overall by the Indiana Fever.
Minnesota bouncing back on top. Kelsey Mitchell also heating up in the second half.
The high arcing from Kelsey Mitchell.
Mitchell's move to the WNBA was simple, and she rapidly established herself in the league. Her scoring talent, especially from beyond the arc, gave her a nightmare for opponents, and she emerged as one of the Indiana Fever's primary offensive weapons. Mitchell's skill has improved over the years, and she is now one of the league's most consistent scorers. While Clark was still making an impact in college, Mitchell had already established herself as one of the best players in the WNBA, demonstrating that her collegiate success could be translated to the professional level.
Steve 9, 5:13 left in regulation. Mitchell tries to answer with a long-range jumper of her own.
Caitlin Clark's game is typified by her ability to score from any position on the floor. She possesses long range, allowing her to make three-pointers from many feet beyond the arc, similar to NBA stars such as Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard. But Clark is much more than simply a shooter. She is a superb playmaker, often setting up her teammates for easy baskets with precision passing and excellent court vision.
Comes Caitlin. Get it!
Clark's basketball IQ stands out among many other players. She is a game student who consistently makes the correct judgments and is seldom shaken by high-stakes scenarios. Clark has shown to be one of the most versatile players in recent memory, whether she is creating space for a shot, driving to the basket, or providing an assist. Clark is also a formidable defensive player. She uses her length and quickness to block passing lanes, and her competitive drive keeps her focused on both ends of the floor. Her total flexibility makes her a player who can influence the game in a variety of ways, which is one of the reasons she was so successful in college and is anticipated to succeed in the WNBA. Kelsey Mitchell, on the other hand, is well known for her scoring skills. Throughout her collegiate and WNBA careers, she was one of the most dangerous offensive players in the league. Mitchell's fast release and ability to build her shot make her an ongoing danger to opposition defenses. Her three-point shooting is exceptional, and she can pull up from anywhere on the floor.
Have you seen how Caitlin Clark has been generating news across all sports media platforms recently? If you haven't seen him, you're missing out on one of the most entertaining basketball players of all time. Caitlin Clark has taken the sports world by storm, becoming a household name for skill, confidence, and game-changing performances. What began as a rising star in the collegiate basketball scene has swiftly evolved into a legend who is transforming the way we think about women's basketball, and she has now managed to humble ESPN journalists in a manner that no one expected.
Howard blocked by Boston. Here comes Caitlin. Get it!
For years, ESPN and other sports publications have been chastised for underrepresenting women's sports, notably their coverage of the WNBA. However, Caitlin Clark has not only changed the narrative around women's basketball, but she has also pushed the media to sit up and pay notes in a manner they have never done before. With her on-court domination, fearless demeanor, and large fan following, she has embarrassed big media outlets, pushing them to see the grandeur of women's basketball that they previously disregarded. In doing so, she has propelled propelled the WNBA to a level of notoriety that will permanently change the landscape.
And that's the way to push the ball in transition. Oh, that's not gonna waste much time. Caitlin Clark has...
Prior to Caitlin Clark's rise to popularity, the media, especially ESPN, mostly overlooked women's basketball. Their coverage of the WNBA was often scant and limited to off-peak hours, while in-depth analysis and big promotional efforts were mostly kept for men's sports. This neglect was especially evident when it came to players like Clark, whose extraordinary performances and numbers would have made headlines if they had occurred in the men's game. ESPN has an opportunity to get ahead of the curve by seeing Clark's potential early on. Her collegiate accomplishments were nothing short of spectacular, with her ability to score from any position on the floor, her passing range, and her basketball IQ garnering her comparisons to NBA great. However, the conventional sports media was reluctant to respond, often focusing on other issues and downplaying Clark's pioneering achievements.
Game attendance and per game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league.
As Clark's impact expanded, it became clear that she was not receiving the press she deserved. Fans of the game started to wonder why one of the most entertaining players in basketball, male or female, was not getting the respect she plainly deserved. As a consequence, ESPN found itself playing catch-up, attempting to reclaim trust with basketball fans who had already made Caitlin Clark a household name. Caitlin Clark's ascent to popularity started long before the media welcomed her. She dominated college basketball, guiding her team to stunning feats that often left spectators and experts stunned. Clark became a highlight machine thanks to her 40-point performances, ability to shoot from deep, and remarkable talent for finding teammates with beautiful passes.
What's different about winning this a second time?
I think it's a little different. I think the biggest thing for myself is like this is my senior year. It's
her efforts in the NCAA women's basketball tournament were especially memorable, and it was during these high-stakes games that she fully established herself on a national scale. Clark led the Iowa Hawkeyes far into the tournament, putting up stat lines to match even the finest male athletes. Her aggressive approach to the game, pulling up for shots from far beyond the arc, facing multiple defenders, and producing clutch plays in crunch time, became the focus of the basketball world. Despite the media's slow response, fans were already deeply immersed in Clark's story. Social media became the forum for sharing, dissecting, and admiring her achievements. Videos of her performances went viral, with supporters praising her great skill while lamenting the lack of media attention she was getting.
WNBA Player of the Week. Surprise, surprise. Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. It's nothing really.
It all came to a head when Caitlin Clark's name became too prominent to ignore. During her most recent season, Clark delivered a streak of memorable performances. She broke records, guided her team to spectacular triumphs, and secured her legacy as one of the sport's finest players. However, ESPN, which was reluctant to recognize her full significance, continued to understate her accomplishments in their reporting.
Notched the first triple-double ever by a WNBA rookie and the first in Fever franchise history.
This all changed when Clark's fans and the rest of the basketball community decided to take action. The disparity between her performances and the media's lackluster coverage reached a critical point. Fans flooded social media with footage of Clark's highlights, criticizing ESPN for neglecting to give her the recognition she deserved. It became evident that conventional media outlets were out of touch with the basketball community, and ESPN found itself on the losing end of the argument. ESPN's humiliation came when Clark produced a game so dominating that ignoring it became impossible. After another outstanding performance in a nationally broadcast game, ESPN had no option but to give Clark the recognition she had long deserved. However, it was too late. The basketball world was already beyond them, and ESPN's effort to catch up seemed forced and fake.
Can you believe that? It's hard to believe. Well, this is where we land to Chicago Sky down at 7th place, Indiana Fever.
Caitlin Clark's influence went beyond insulting the media. It also altered the course of the WNBA. Historically, the WNBA has failed to attract the same amount of media attention and fan enthusiasm as its male counterpart, the NBA. This lack of attention created a vicious cycle in which the league was unable to increase its fan base, and the media defended the lack of coverage by citing poor ratings. Clark's ascension has given the WNBA fresh vigor, not only because of her skill, but also because of how she has engaged fans. The media, obliged to recognize her brilliance, began to pay greater attention to the WNBA, and as a result, fans began to pay closer attention to the league as well. Clark's popularity grew, and more people tuned in to see her play, whether as a final-year college student or a prospective WNBA star.
You know, it doesn't happen without them. It doesn't happen without the amazing coaches. And, you know, to kind of end my career in this note and hopefully winning a national title would be perfect.
ESPN and other sites, seeing their error in underestimating Clark's power, started to enhance their WNBA coverage, focusing on the league's stars in ways they hadn't before. This change in focus is creating opportunities for other outstanding players in the WNBA, giving them the recognition they deserve and helping to expand the league. Caitlin Clark's presence has altered not just the media's perception of women's basketball, but also how other WNBA players are seen. Clark's leadership has had a knock-on effect, with media outlets now covering other league players more extensively. Players like Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu are profiting from the increasing attention as the media recognizes the WNBA's potential as a major sports organization.
45 blocks last year, Clark for three! Clark, they said she has redefined what a good shot is.
Clark's impact extends to the way the game is played. Her distinctive basketball style, fast-paced, long-range shooting, and high basketball IQ has inspired younger players who see her as a role model. Her confidence and talent on the court have redefined what it means to be a dominating player in women's basketball, and other players are beginning to mimic her approach. In doing so, she contributes to the evolution of the game and raises the standard of play across the league. Caitlin Clark's ascension occurs at a time when the WNBA is poised for expansion. The league's viewership has steadily increased in recent years, and Clark's effect is just speeding up that trend. As more people tune in to see her play, the league is gaining a new generation of fans who are optimistic about the future of women's basketball.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, you know, be grateful that my team was in that position.
This increase in popularity also results in financial growth. With increased media and fan interest, the WNBA's sponsorship and broadcast contracts are growing more valuable. Brands who were previously reluctant to invest in women's basketball are now recognizing opportunities for expansion, which is helping to raise the league's image. Caitlin Clark's impact will continue to be an important part of the WNBA narrative as it grows. Her ability to captivate fans and command media attention is changing the league's perception, and her sustained success will further strengthen the WNBA's position in the mainstream sports world. Caitlin Clark hasn't simply embarrassed ESPN, she's revolutionized the game. Her ascent to prominence has caused the media to reconsider how it covers women's sports, and as a result, the WNBA has received unprecedented attention. Her impact not only helps the league expand, but also inspires the next generation of basketball players. Clark's impact will be recognized not just for her extraordinary skill, but also for shifting the debate around women's basketball. By demanding the credit she deserves, she has created opportunities for other players and helped propel the sport to new heights. Caitlin Clark's effect has contributed significantly to the WNBA's continued popularity. She has shown that women's basketball is just as interesting, competitive, and deserving of attention as any other sport, permanently altering the landscape of the WNBA. The league's future looks better than ever, and Caitlin Clark is leading the way. The WNBA has always been very competitive, with players putting their heart and soul into every game. But lately, the discussion surrounding the MVP award has reached a fever pitch. Aja Wilson, one of the WNBA's brightest talents, went off on what she sees as a tremendous injustice in the MVP race: Caitlin Clark's rejection of the prize title. What followed was nothing short of explosive, as Aja Wilson launched a rage, sending shockwaves across the WNBA and its fandom.
Kelsey Plum playing Caitlin Clark, no catch, meaning she's not trying to let her get it back.
In this video, we'll explore the events that occurred, including why Aja Wilson lost her cool and the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark's rejection. So brace up as we discuss what may be one of the most dramatic moments in WNBA history. To understand why Aja Wilson's response was so strong, we must first accept her role in the WNBA. Since being selected as the first overall choice by the Las Vegas Aces in 2018, Aja has been nothing short of exceptional. Her aggressive playing style, ability to dominate in the paint, and leadership leadership characteristics have earned her a household name. Wilson, a two-time MVP and Olympic gold medalist, has constantly been in contention for the league's top honors. Wilson's intense competition and constant desire for achievement distinguish her as a great athlete. However, they also led to her angry response to Caitlin Clark's elimination from the MVP contest. Wilson's aggravation spilled out in a spectacular fashion as he understood the pressure and grandeur of winning the MVP award.
Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. It's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for league MVP honors. She ain't beating Asia Wilson for the MVP.
Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, has been surging to the forefront of the WNBA discourse. Clark was drafted by the Indiana Fever and joined the league with lofty hopes, and she has not disappointed. Caitlin Clark, known for her exceptional shooting range, court awareness, and ability to score from nearly anywhere, has made a significant impact in her first season. Many fans and commentators anticipated her not only to win Rookie of the Year, but also to be a strong contender for MVP.
A little step-up action right here.
Boston gets it back to Clark, sidesteps Howard, she will launch and knock down a three.
Clark's ability to perform well under pressure distinguishes her from other athletes. Whether it's hitting three-pointers from beyond the arc or providing clutch assists, she's constantly shown she can carry her team through the most difficult games. Despite this, Caitlin Clark's outstanding accomplishments did not transfer into MVP accolades this season, which has prompted great criticism, particularly among players such as Asia Wilson.
The WNBA, she's just the fourth player to shoot at least 70% from three-point range on at least 20 three-point attempts.
The WNBA MVP award is one of the most coveted in the league. The award is given to the player regarded most important to their team's success, which is frequently determined by a mix of individual numbers, team performance, and on-court leadership. This year, however, the battle for MVP got acrimonious, with players, fans, and pundits all disputing who should win the title.
Caitlin Clark. It's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for league MVP honors. She ain't beating Asia Wilson for the MVP, but she's beating Angel Reese for the Rookie of the Year. That's a wrap. That's over. And props to Angel Reese, who's had a good year, by the way. Quick hitter number 3 goes to Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese.
Aja Wilson was once again in contention for MVP following another outstanding season. However, many believed that Caitlin Clark, despite being a rookie, had played at an MVP caliber level, making her a viable contender for the title.
And that's what the worst of cynics and critics do. And so you knew they were going to come for you. You had to know that. Now, to the degree that they're doing so, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. But keep your spirits up, because you're at a decisive advantage, Angel Reese. You're at a decisive advantage because they made the mistake of letting you know who they are, whoever those people are. And now you have perfect justification for keeping people at bay and not letting people too close where they could potentially hurt you. It's something most people usually learn when they get older. You learned it younger, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
The WNBA has long been a hotbed of competitive skill, with several players putting their all on the floor. However, when a player like Caitlin Clark emerges, the whole league's atmosphere shifts. Clark is a generational talent who has redefined what it means to be dominant in women's basketball. Her overwhelming talent and ability to smash records have made her a fan favorite, but she has also elicited hatred and jealousy from other players and analysts.
Here's Clark, nice find, Agumake push shot, banks in, make it 8 assists for Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark's recent promotion to MVP rank has sparked outrage among the WNBA. This wasn't just any triumph, it was a watershed event that made the league take notice. However, her success sparked an outpouring of criticism, especially from those who couldn't tolerate her domination. This pushback from both athletes and media figures highlights the difficulties that often follow sporting success. It also begs the issue of why certain individuals are unable to cope with the ascent of a very exceptional athlete.
Caitlin Clark Kent, superwoman. You see what I did there? She was on a tear, and last night was no different. Wings, fever. Caitlin Clark set to go as she broke the single-season assist record Friday against the Aces.
In this video, we'll examine the drama that followed Caitlin Clark's MVP win including comments from other players, media characters, and the WNBA fandom as a whole. We'll also examine how Clark's ascension has upended the league's relationships and sparked outrage among her opponents. Caitlin Clark did not become a WNBA superstar overnight. Her path to becoming one of the league's finest players was marked by years of hard work, devotion, and record-breaking performances. Her collegiate basketball career, when she captained the Iowa Hawkeyes, was defined by amazing exploits that distinguished her from her colleagues. Clark's deadly shooting range, basketball IQ, and exceptional playmaking talents made her a force to be reckoned with.
In average game attendance and per game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops herself. She recently spoke on her podcast, Queens of the Court, and didn't mention the rookie when speaking of Indiana's rise in the standings.
After joining the WNBA, she quickly became a household name. Her first few games in the league were a spectacle of high-scoring, triple-double performances that had fans and observers alike excited about her potential. However, as Clark's status grew, so did the number of players and commentators who were less pleased about her achievement. The more she succeeded on the court, the more resentment among some players became apparent. Despite the rising tensions surrounding her, Caitlin stayed concentrated on her game. She broke records, racked up remarkable numbers, and led her team to victory. By the time the WNBA MVP campaign began, Clark was clearly one of the front-runners.
Look at this quote here. I think the Olympic break really helped Indiana. I'm going to shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She's just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double. If Indiana continues to play the way they're playing like this, they too are going to move up in the standings, end quote. So no, Caitlin Clark. Cheryl Swoops.
When Caitlin Clark was named the WNBA's MVP, it seemed like a watershed moment for the league. Her triumph was well-deserved, considering her contributions to the game and leadership on the court. Statistically, she exceeded many of her colleagues, guiding her squad to one of its greatest seasons. Her ability to score, assist, and create chances for her teammates elevated her to a league of her own. However, the MVP award wasn't without debate. Some players and observers felt that other athletes were more deserved, citing senior players who had been in the league longer or had more experience. Clark's quick ascension and achievement were seen as excessive and premature. For some, the fact that a younger player had surpassed seasoned veterans appeared like an unjust disturbance in the league's hierarchy.
I'm looking at her the way I look at LeBron James, right? For us, just in the women's side of things, and the height that she had, the expectations she had to live up to, packing out arenas on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people out there waiting to see her fail, and still keeping her composure as a rookie and leading this team has been a beautiful thing to see.
This response was more than simply a dispute over the MVP award. It was the result of rising displeasure with Clark's domination. Her propensity to capture the attention with her dazzling moves and high-scoring games left several veterans feeling marginalized and underappreciated. Several players expressed their dissatisfaction with Clark's MVP victory, both publicly and privately. Some were subtle, casting a shadow in interviews and social media postings, while others were more outspoken in their dislike for her success.
Cheryl Swoops. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Cheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark, because that gives fodder to those who believe she's being hated on and ostracized to some degree? Do you realize that, Cheryl Swoops, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Cheryl Swoops, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball.
Some veterans in particular seemed hesitant to accept Clark's new standing as the league's best player. These athletes, who had spent years working towards their accomplishments, felt let down by Clark's quick climb to the top. The MVP race, which they thought should have been theirs to win, had been stolen by a player who was just beginning her career. Clark's victory seemed like a disturbance to the natural order, a passing of the torch that came much too soon. This increasing anger wasn't limited to the locker rooms. On the court, Clark became the subject of more aggressive play. Hard fouls, taunting, and other unsportsmanlike behavior increased as some players sought to knock her down a peg. It became evident that some of her colleagues couldn't take her success and were prepared to go to extreme measures to undermine her game.
On the debut episode, co-host Maya Reese, who is Angel's cousin, asked her to address her feelings about rival Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and the Fever's fan base. Take a look at what Angel Reese had to say about that. Quote, Caitlin Clark fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans, I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. But when it comes to death threats, like, I'm talking about people who have come down to my address, following me home. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me naked, literally. They've sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that.
Clark's MVP award was hardly the only cause of contention. In the media, numerous analysts questioned whether Clark genuinely deserved the title. Some have even argued that her success was exaggerated because of her marketability and popularity among fans, rather than her real performance on the court. This story, however, disregarded the facts. Clark's MVP victory was supported by indisputable numbers and performances that speak for themselves. However, the media's obsession with pulling her down seemed to match the views of her opponents in the league. Resentment over a young player, breaking through obstacles that had held others at the top for so long.
Real deal. Listen, I believed in her from day one. We knew that she would only get better and better. She's averaging 17.8 points this season, 41% shooting, 33% from three-point range, leading the league in assists. Her last 5 games, Shannon, 22.5 points per game on 46% shooting, 11.4 assists per game. They've won 4 of their last 5, and now the Indiana Fever are 7th place overall and in playoff positioning. Caitlin Clark is real. She's coming, and I still contend she should have been on Team USA, Shannon. You saw the attendance for Team USA compared to everybody else. If she was on that team, that wouldn't have been a problem. I stand by my position from day one. She's real.
Rather than recognizing Clark's apparent brilliance, these commentators attempted to downplay her achievements by doubting the authenticity of her victory. They bought into the premise that she was being propped up because of her popularity, despite the fact that she dominated the league. In today's digital era, no big sports dispute is complete without the accompanying social media frenzy. Fans, players, and commentators all flocked to Twitter and Instagram to express their thoughts on Clark's MVP award. Some hailed her efforts, describing her as a light of hope for the WNBA's future. Others, however, joined the chorus of opponents who said that her victory was unjustified.
Well, all the people that Stephen A. Oh, she don't do this. She not gonna do that. Let her cook. It got so bad yesterday, the Seattle Storm, they pulled their starters so she couldn't get that double-digit assist record 3 consecutive games with at least 20 points and 10 or more assists. They pulled their starters, and then Skylar Diggins, Faith Smith, her last name, she bumped into her, sped up. Let her cook. But if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd have told Skylar Diggins, get your coat, your brim, and get on out of my gym. Let her cook.
The social media environment immediately became a war, with Clark's admirers protecting her against a never-ending barrage of attacks from detractors. Hashtags and memes increased, with some making fun of the envious players and pundits, while others adopted a more serious tone, highlighting Clark's harsh treatment. However, social media also gave a venue for the most divisive aspects of the argument. Clark's detractors, both inside and outside the league, exploited these venues to promote disparaging stories about her climb to MVP. Some even launched personal assaults, criticizing everything from her beauty to her demeanor. The resentment over her victory seemed to escalate out of hand, becoming less about basketball and more about tearing down a young star who was challenging the existing quo.
Just in the women's side of things, and the height that she had, the expectations she had to live up to, packing out arenas on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people out there waiting to see her fail, and still keeping her composure as a rookie and leading this team has been a beautiful thing to see.
Caitlin Clark's MVP award sparked more than just criticism. It sent shockwaves across the WNBA. For the first time in years, the league saw a player who not only dominated on the court, but also became the subject of a heated and divisive discussion. While the spotlight surrounding Clark likely attracted more eyes to the WNBA, it also highlighted some of the league's underlying concerns. The anger and hostility against Clark reflected a bigger issue of rivalry and some veterans' unwillingness to accept the ascent of a new star. This dynamic threatened to sever connections inside clubs and throughout the league as a whole.
I want to know what y'all saying now, because she is legit. She's better, Stephen A. She's better than I thought she would soon. I thought she would be good. You and I both said she's going to be good because she got two skill sets. She can score the basketball and she can assist the basketball. So if one is not going, the other one will. But a lot of people say, oh, this and that. Let her cook. Y'all stop being petty. Stop being catty, because she like a double-edged sword. She cutting tail left and right. And it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, do me a favor, CC. Send your favorite uncle a jersey with your autograph on it, and I'll wear it.
On the other side, Clark's dominance and the response she received sparked debate about the future of the WNBA. Many fans and commentators said that the league needed athletes like Clark to draw more spectators and take the sport to new heights. They said that the emphasis should be on recognizing Clark's skill rather than tearing her down out of jealousy.
Leavish hounding Clark. Clark, step back three, knocks it down! Take a look here at a career first.
It's a step back, going right, I may add. It's usually step back, going left.
Despite the barrage of criticism, Caitlin Clark remained unaffected. Throughout her career, she had encountered skeptics and detractors who questioned her talents, and this was no exception. Rather than confronting her critics, Clark let her on-court performance speak for itself. Clark proceeded to put up impressive statistics in the games after her MVP triumph, demonstrating that she was well-deserving of the honor. Her ability to rise above the hostility and stay focused on the game further cemented her place as one of the league's greatest players.
Yeah, I mean, Perk mentioned how she's learned from going into the film room, learned game from game. She equally learns within the game. On Friday, when they were playing against Vegas, she was held scoreless in the first half. What happened? She came out with some of that knowledge that she learned from that half in the previous game against Vegas and had 14 in the third quarter alone. She is just now playing at her pace, which, yes, is a very fast pace, but at the same time, the game has slowed down. We saw teams blitzing her like crazy early in the season. You can't do that anymore. She's playing today, to me.
Clark's calm and cool reaction to the controversy endeared her to admirers even more. While other players may have collapsed under the pressure of the criticism, Clark embraced it as inspiration to keep pushing herself to new heights. Her tenacity in the face of adversity became an important part of her story, demonstrating that genuine success requires not just ability, but also mental fortitude.
First lead for the Liberty that didn't last long as Smith puts the Fever back on top. The Indiana Fever.
And they need Smith in the game, and this is just a simple transition.
As the dust settled following the hoopla surrounding Caitlin Clark's MVP victory, the WNBA found itself in a difficult situation. On the one hand, the publicity generated by Clark's triumph and the subsequent controversy served to increase the league's profile. On the other hand, some players' animosity and resentment threatened to split the league and create a poisonous environment that may stifle its development.
Caitlin has dominated since the All-Star break. What's been the biggest change in her game that you've noticed?
Chanae, it took her about a month to figure things out, but since about the end of June, she's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame. Teams can no longer blitz her and trap her.
Players, commentators, and fans were left to consider the ramifications of Clark's ascension to the top. Will the league be able to overcome envy and welcome a new age of talent? Or will Clark's success exacerbate the divides, preventing the league from realizing its full potential? The answers to these questions could have been clearer. However, one thing was certain: Caitlin Clark had shattered the mold, and the WNBA would never be the same after. Whether her detractors liked it or not, Clark's domination pushed the league to address its fears and figure out how to proceed in the face of such overwhelming talent.
Had another monster game. She had 28 points, 12 assists, and a 193 win over the Dallas Wings today that pushed the Indiana Fever over 500 for the first time in 5 years.
Looking forward, it's evident that Caitlin Clark's career is just beginning. Her contentious MVP triumph is merely the start of what looks to be a long and successful career in the WNBA. As she continues to set records and exceed expectations, her naysayers will definitely have to accept her position in the league. The future is less assured for the WNBA as a whole. The league must find a way to balance the growth of emerging stars like Clark and the respect and recognition that experienced players deserve. While competition and rivalries are normal parts of sports, the animosity and jealousy that have emerged in response to Clark's success threaten to stymie the league's growth. The WNBA can see this as a watershed moment, a chance to enhance the sport by highlighting the extraordinary skill of girls like Caitlin Clark. However, in order to do so, the league must first address the underlying conflicts that surfaced as a result of her MVP victory. Only then can the WNBA genuinely prosper in the years ahead.
Your own building against you. Griner has it come off. Clark with the pull. Boston with a nice rim run.
Finally, Caitlin Clark's MVP triumph revealed WNBA's fault lines and spurred a discussion that extends beyond basketball. While her detractors may continue to doubt her achievements, there is no disputing that Clark has permanently altered the league. The issue now is whether the WNBA can meet the challenge and embrace the new age that Caitlin Clark symbolizes.
The WNBA has had its ups and downs throughout the years, but recent events have put the league in jeopardy. Following Caitlin Clark's widely predicted playoff departure, the WNBA has seen a steep and alarming drop in viewership. Clark, a top player with a charismatic personality and excellent skill, attracted a huge crowd, but her exclusion from the playoffs revealed an underlying flaw in the league. Viewership has plunged, raising worries that the WNBA is in severe peril. With fans losing interest, the league is at a crossroads, and many are asking whether it can recover from this precipitous drop in popularity.
We really haven't seen a rookie make a mark on the W like this ever. How will you remember Clark's first year in the league now that it's come to a close?
Caitlin Clark has become a household figure in the world of women's basketball, not just for her exceptional talent, but also for her ability to captivate a worldwide audience. Clark, a guard for the Iowa Hawkeyes in the NCAA, captivated the basketball world with her sharpshooting, court vision, and leadership. Her presence on the court energized spectators, increasing the number of viewers when she joined the WNBA. She created an atmosphere of excitement that attracted both diehard basketball fans and casual viewers who had not previously watched the league.
She set the single season assist mark in her debut campaign, and those dimes added up. Clark created 38 points per game, a new league record.
Clark's popularity extended beyond the game itself. Her demeanor, charisma, and confidence made her an approachable figure for young admirers, especially young females who look to her for inspiration. Highlights from her games, interviews, and viral moments circulated on social media, forming an online fan base ecology. Her fast ascent hinted at a promising future for the WNBA, with Clark positioned as a star who might help propel the league to new heights. But then something unexpected occurred.
One of the best three-point shooters in the league. And under 20 seconds left, last chance for the Fever. Clark can't get it to go, and Clark and the Fever season comes to an end.
When Caitlin Clark's squad departed the WNBA playoffs sooner than expected, the league's momentum sank dramatically. Fans who had tuned in to see Clark's sensational performances were disappointed, and many quit watching altogether. The reduction in viewing was virtually
wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it, go on and take your aim, yeah. Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
Ratings problem into a watershed moment for the league's future.